Hello, I'm Dr. Bill, and welcome to Dr. Bill 360, where we explore the transformative world of organizational development, leadership, and beyond. Today, we are diving into the realm of emotional medicine with our special guest, Sara Osman. Are you ready to discover how addressing suppressed emotions can lead to a healthier life? Let's begin this transformation on Dr. Bill 360. Our guest today is Sara Osman, the founder of Leisure and Karma Coaching for the past 13 years. So Sara, hello, and how are you doing? It's a pleasure to have you on Dr. Bill 360.
Hi, Dr. Bill. I'm doing great. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, and we love having you. So Sara, in our first segment, we're going to try and understand emotional medicine and its impact. So Sara, you've been a social activist and ambassador at the World Mindset Organization for a while. You've also been a coach and a social activist since 2021. So again, thanks for joining us. Could you start, please, by telling us about Leisure and Karma Coaching and what inspired you to become a transformational life coach and social activist?
So, Leisure and Karma is a safe and nurturing space for survivors of childhood abuse and neglect, where they can heal and reintegrate into society. My goal is to empower survivors to thrive in both their personal and professional lives. As a survivor of child sexual abuse, emotional and mental abuse, neglect, and bullying, I faced a lot of challenges growing up and even in my adulthood. However, in the last few years, I made a serious decision to heal and to transform my life. And now I assist people in doing the same. As a social activist, I want to draw attention to the 90% of children who are still being sexually abused by someone they know, love, and trust. Yeah. This
Wow.
critical social issue is ignored due to social taboos and ignorance, if I may say. My mission is to raise awareness about how common it is and to educate individuals and communities on how to prevent it and how to identify abuses.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. So, how do suppressed emotions affect our physical health, and what are some common physical manifestations of these emotions?
So every emotion and thought are seen as messengers. They guide us towards greater self awareness and understanding. When unprocessed, unexpressed, and unhealed, they start to create dis-ease in the body. For example, they manifest as discomfort, such as pains, physical pains, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
like pain in our shoulders, our neck, our back, our knees, our feet, our fingers, toes, all of that. Headaches, migraines. I've struggled with migraines for many, many years.
Okay.
They can also manifest as illnesses such as the flu, malaria, digestive disorders, etc. There's so many illnesses, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, all these can vary from mild to acute. Yet, if they continue to reoccur and we continue to ignore these messages, discomforts and illnesses can develop into chronic diseases such as cancer, heart conditions, and diabetes, and so on.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably getting a lot of messages myself. Wow. Uh, okay, so your motto then, reach out, you're not alone, right? How does this philosophy guide your work in emotional medicine and helping those with trauma?
So, in your life, when you go through difficult experiences, you tend to suppress emotions, withdraw, and isolate naturally. Healing requires that you reach out for support, know that you are not alone feeling that pain and that shame or whatever emotions you're going through, and to surround yourself by others because healing doesn't happen in isolation.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so thank you for that. I learned a lot just in those openings there. I learned a lot. So exploring the connection then between emotions and physical health, Sara, can you share maybe some examples from your practice where addressing emotional traumas has led to a noticeable improvement in physical health?
So, are you asking about me personally? I can share about myself and I also can share about others.
Well, I mean, what are you willing to share? I didn't want to
Uh,
get personal, but if you feel like sharing, that's fantastic.
So, I'll share about myself and I also can share other.
Okay.
So, since I started emotional medicine, I've personally resolved a few conditions that I struggled with, such as migraines, receding gums, and tinnitus. I'd always
Wow.
like have migraines on one side of my head, and that of course affects my neck and my shoulders also, right? I
Okay.
had my four canines all had receding gums. The pain was crucial, and my tinnitus one ear would have like that whooshing sound, and both ears have that constant sounds undertone. Like, at night before I used to think they were like the crickets or the night insect sound. Turned out it was tinnitus.
Tinnitus is
So
that's not what they call vertigo. That's something else. It's not.
tinnitus is those sounds that you have in the ears. It could be a piercing sound, all of a sudden get comes,
Oh, okay. All right.
or a whooshing sound, or you feel the sound of like insects chirping, but it's
Oh,
actually
wow.
sounds that are happening inside. In emotional
Okay.
medicine, we believe that it is actually uh, your subconscious trying to speak to you,
Okay.
right? So the migraines, let's start with the migraines. I would have migraines, horrible ones. The pain, like it would just simply paralyze me for 4 days constantly. Sometimes even medications wouldn't work. Now I don't get migraines so often. And when I do, it takes me 4 hours to get over that. I don't take medications for it anymore.
Okay.
My receding gums, all four of them, completely healed. They've shut in. And the tinnitus is not as loud. I'm still working with that because some conditions take longer, right?
Right. Right.
So I don't hear that whooshing sound that much anymore, and I've become very aware of it. So when I do I hear it, I kind of like, okay, I focus with it and I know what are the root causes of it. So yeah,
Okay.
then on another level, people that I've worked with, I know this lady, she had thyroid and she was taking medications for her thyroid for over 20 years. In a
Okay.
matter of 3 months, she got off the medication. She healed her thyroids. Even when she went for a checkup, the doctor was like, "What did you do? What's going on?"
And
There's
this is
this
and this
other
is the
lady.
result. And this is the result of emotional medicine and or coaching that you do.
Yeah, yeah. This is a result of getting in touch with the emotions
Okay.
that we have. You see, we have for every physical condition, pain, symptom, disease, illness,
Uh huh.
we have a list of emotions that we call them the root causes, the emotional root causes.
Okay.
Okay? So when we have a condition, we refer back to these emotional root causes and we pick out what we are kind of like feeling at the moment, the emotions that we connect with, and then we work with that. And there's a whole process. Maybe
Okay.
later on we get deeper into that,
Yeah.
or just in general, just not to take so much time. We connect with those emotions, we work through them, and
Right.
we try and become aware, is it something that is happening in we're experiencing from experiences that we're having right now, or is it something from the past that is so suppressed that is coming up for us?
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
you mentioned migraines, right, as a result of suppressed
yeah,
emotions, and
yeah,
I guess you were kind of getting at it, like worry and anger. Can you kind of walk through maybe how you recognize these emotions and the process you followed? I think you were kind of getting into it
yeah.
in the last question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So in our practice, each discomfort and this ease, we call it, right? Initially, it starts as a dis-ease in your body, and that's where it transforms to disease later on when it's unprocessed. We have a list of probable emotional root causes. So, for example, when I sense a migraine is coming, I refer back to the probable root cause and see which ones I resonate with the most at the moment. Worry and anger are just a couple of many suppressed emotions that manifest into a migraine. So, when I recognize that emotion that I resonate with, I sit with the emotion and try and explore whether it's from an experience that I'm going through now or something from the past. After I identify that emotion and work through the cause of it, I indulge myself. One of the processes is that I indulged myself in some self-care, especially with migraines. Self-care is very important. So some that could be like having a warm shower that hits on my head where the migraine is and the shoulders, listening to healing meditations. I rest in a dark and quiet room. I take a walk in greenery, just surround my eyes with greenery, something comfortable, because we know that greenery is very relaxing for the eyes and the body also. I either massage myself where it's hurting, or I ask my daughter to give me a massage, or I just do like neck stretches and rotations to release that pain and open and expand those muscles to release it.
yeah, that's kind of like my. That was sort of like my next question, right? Was how does or what does the process of getting in touch with the suppressed emotions typically involve? I think you were explaining a little bit about that. Are there specific techniques or practices that you use to guide individuals through this? I think you were sort of touching on that.
Yeah. So I work with them just the same as I work with my conditions. So, of course, this is someone outside of me. So I meet with the person and I work with them on the three most urgent conditions they are struggling with or suffering from at this moment. So we go through the probable root causes, aiding them with questions that will help them to go deeper. At the end of this, so we have like a chat about it. And at the end of the session, I leave them with homework, and if you want to call them assignments, to do till we meet in the following week. And these assignments could be listening to sound frequency therapy, audios, um, self-care practices. This is very personalized also. Journaling, visualization. These are just
Yeah,
the stages are many in the process, but this is just to
yeah,
have like a basic idea.
yeah. I've always been into journaling or reflection. I think if you and
Mhm.
I teach English and I do a few other things. I always tell people you have to journal. Because where you are now may not be where you are tomorrow or the next day, and you need to reflect on what has happened. But a lot of times people don't like to actually write things down in journal. They don't like it.
Yeah, and
It's
there's another thing. We believe as coaches, we believe that when you're writing, you're kind of tapping into your subconscious. We
okay.
we encourage people not to look at the grammatical things in writing. Just write, just start and write, and whatever shows up, because then you are really tapping into your subconscious and you find a lot of answers when you're journaling.
Yeah, I'm a big believer.
It just
I'm a
comes flowing out,
yeah,
right?
I'm a big believer in that. So Sarah, so how do you help individuals distinguish then between physical symptoms caused by medical issues and those stemming from emotional trauma?
So long-lasting and ongoing imbalances, which if not dealt with, can turn into states of chronic disease, right?
Okay.
Trauma in its essence is suppressed and unexpressed and unprocessed emotions due to
Okay.
disturbing and painful experiences from the past. In the long run, it may lead to imbalances in the body. So trauma itself is not different from it leads, when unprocessed, it leads to emotional imbalances and then physical imbalances.
Yeah, I can imagine though. I'm thinking about my wife trying to say, "Hey, you have trauma." I've said that won't go too well. Me trying to tell my wife she has trauma. So sometimes I guess people don't deal that well with the terms
Yeah,
trauma.
trauma also is not very recognized. Not many people understand what trauma is. Like it's so people say just trauma, but what is trauma,
Yeah,
right?
good
Trauma
question.
is yeah, trauma is not the experience that happened to you, is there after effect of the if of the
Uh,
experience.
okay, okay,
Okay, so PTSD is a trauma response.
okay.
Um,
Well, that,
like denial is a trauma response. Dissociation is a trauma response. But what caused that trauma? There's so many things that cause that trauma, like sexual abuse, emotional, mental abuse. These are all abandonment, bullying in school causes trauma. Losing a loved one causes trauma. Losing a job causes trauma. War and displacement cause trauma.
yeah,
Having an
yeah,
operation or an accident is, traffic accident can cause trauma. So, so trauma is a cause, and it in itself is a suppressed emotion. If, for example, someone that was sexually abused, like me, for example, had someone to talk to them and acknowledge what happened to them and guide them, trauma would not have resided in my body because the effects would have been dealt with straight away.
yeah. Thank you for sharing anyway about that. I mean, since you're sharing, I mean, I also had you know prostate cancer and some surgery, but maybe I'm denying trauma. I don't know. I'm a guy. Deal with it, right? That's maybe. So, anyway, thank you for sharing again, right?
You're welcome.
Yeah, okay. So, some common challenges, Sarah. What are some common challenges then do people face when trying to connect with their suppressed emotions, and how can they overcome them?
Very interesting. You asked this question after you yourself mentioning mentioning one of the common challenges. So the
Yeah.
first and the most common one is imposed by society and our upbringing,
Hmm.
not to speak about emotions. It's a sign of weakness. So that's a very common challenge, and it's a big one, especially for men. Okay.
Here, here.
So there, you just said it yourself, right? And that was
Yeah.
imposed to us by society and by our bringing up, by our families, and so on. Another one is the fear of being vulnerable, the fear of being judged, the fear of being exposed, right? Like a big one that survivors of child sexual abuse go through is the fear of exposure. So that holds them back.
That's
So
a lot. That's a lot that you're talking about there. Navigating that.
yeah,
That taking people on that journey.
yeah.
That's a lot. You know, because
So there's
people shut down when you start talking about that stuff. I would
yeah,
imagine, right?
yeah, so the other thing is, okay, they believe that they have dealt with the emotions.
Mm-hmm.
You
Okay.
also mentioned that, right? I dealt with it. I dealt with it. I'm over it, all right? Or that those experiences did not affect them at all. And that's where we mention again denial. They live in denial when they believe that these experiences didn't affect them at all. So they can overcome this or these challenges by joining an 8-week intensive emotional fitness training, by meeting me one-on-one in a discovery call, and then eventually as we do the work, they will get customized sound frequency therapy audios and work. We do 5Q check-ins, 5 question check-ins daily, and that is specific for people with chronic diseases.
Okay.
Okay, it's one of the steps and practices, and as well as many other. tools that we use in emotional medicine.
Yeah, I used to belong to this internations group called Men's Circle, where we would get together, and it was like totally confidential. Nobody's sharing anything. Where we would actually share our most intimate things, and guys don't normally do that. And I thought that was helpful, but of course I don't go anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, are there any misconceptions then about emotional medicine that you frequently encounter? How do you address these in your practice? Right, some misconceptions about emotional medicine.
So yes, they are. Yes, they are. I'll just mention a few. One is people don't believe that emotions have power over us. Another
Oh,
one is that they don't take emotions and emotional work seriously. And they believe they know how to manage them, yet most of the time they are not aware about what is running in their subconscious. So what is running here that you are aware of is so little, and many times we don't know how to even manage that. But imagine what is suppressed in the subconscious that we are not aware of,
yeah, I
right?
can, I can get with that because I used to my motto was, for example, a lot of stress in the military. I used to just pump iron. I said I don't know it, I can't see it, but I'm gonna work out, pump iron, and then when I was ashore, I would go to the gun range and fire my gun. So I was thinking I'm dealing with it. I don't know what it is, but it has to be there. So that's what I do, but I'm not aware of what it is.
Yeah.
So that's
So you dealt with it on a physical level, which is many men do that. They go and they exercise and all of that, and yeah, that's great. We most of us find ways to survive through it until we are willing to face it. But as long as they're suppressed, then we start having these conditions because they need to come out and they need to be processed and healed and taken out of the system, right?
yeah.
And you
This this
asked
this
me
kind of
how,
leads me to my next question, though. What this
okay.
leads me to my next question, right? What are some practical tips for the listeners, right, who may want to start exploring their own suppressed emotions to improve their health? Maybe some practical tips.
Let me start by saying that we all have blind spots,
Okay.
and the work that we do is not an independent work. Okay. It's not something you can do independently. So there is a benefit to attending that one-on-one call, discovery call. It's to explore and
Mm-hmm.
raise awareness about the communication of the body.
Oh, okay. The one-on-one call and the blind spots. I mean, we all have them. I mean, I think I'm a good driver, but we have a side mirror for looking for the blind spots, right? Uh, okay, I get you. So, how important then is self care in this journey, and what are some effective self care practices that complement maybe emotional healing?
So self-care is crucial for the healing journey. It teaches you, or it teaches us all, that we are worthy and deserving of self-love and a better quality of life. Some practices are exercising, eating healthy, meditation, journaling, refining the quality of people that
Mm-hmm.
you associate yourself with, or we all
Yeah,
associate
your
that.
circle,
That's
huh?
very important. Your circle is
Your
very
circle.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing things that bringing you joy,
Mm-hmm.
like doing some hobbies, traveling, anything that just adds the joy in your life. These are
Okay.
just some. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of Sarah, like a first segment, getting people understanding of what emotional medicine. We're going to dig a little deeper here in the second segment, implementing it, calls to action, getting a little deeper. So maybe talk about some strategies for healing. So, Sarah, for someone starting their journey into emotional medicine, what are the first steps they should take?
First is to book a one-on-one discovery call. Second
Okay.
is to schedule an 8-week intensive emotional fitness training.
But what if you like me? I'm way in Malaysia, somewhere like on a Zoom, right? How can I do emotional, like a training? It can't happen.
We do these trainings online. They're online.
Oh, no excuses, huh?
No excuses to do the work. Yeah. The world has opened up with technology. We're so blessed. Now the limitations have fallen. There's
Yeah,
always way to do the work.
yeah. I was kind of looking for that excuse, right? You said, don't worry, huh?
You're gonna get away with it.
Okay, so how can individuals incorporate emotional healing practices into their daily routines, right, to maintain long-term well-being?
So everybody's journey is unique, and
Okay.
the work is customized for each person's needs. That's it.
Oh, okay. Everybody is different. That's for sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
everybody, when they join us, everybody has their own uniqueness and their own conditions and their own pains. So the work is customized for each individual.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm oversharing, or maybe I'm oversharing, but I know like my wife, she shuts down. She just gets quiet. There's no
We
community.
call that she's not ready yet.
Okay.
When
All
she's
right.
ready, doors will open to her
Oh,
doors will open up and she will be willing to do the work.
so okay, which is my next topic: overcoming emotional barriers. I think.
Mhm.
So, what strategies do you recommend for overcoming emotional barriers that can prevent people from fully engaging with this process?
The first one is to get out of your own way.
Meaning,
We set these limitations. We want to hold back. So we need to get out of our own way.
how to do that if you like emotionally block? I mean, maybe you don't even know that's what you're doing.
That's why you book a one-on-one discovery call. Yeah. So the second one is to understand that the only way to overcome pain is through it, but with guidance.
Okay.
Yeah. A
All
third
right.
one is the openness to be vulnerable. Okay. And the most crucial one is to believe in what you're doing.
Right. Again, probably leading into my next question. Then, how can the listeners then find that balance between controlling difficult emotions and not overwhelming themselves with this?
Yeah, by
Yeah.
working with a professional that helps them to maintain that balance.
Trust, though, it's got to be an issue, and I suspect on a first call that'd be difficult. But I mean, trust has got to be like up there, right? A
You know,
requirement.
if you showed up on a one-on-one call, that means you got out of your own way and you're willing to be open.
Okay.
So after that, it is just a matter of communicating, getting to know each other, getting to build that trust and getting to feel that comfort, right?
Yeah.
Because emotional medicine isn't meant to be done alone. It's heavy work, right?
Yeah. I can imagine, or
And
I
and
can
it
imagine. I
yeah, and
can imagine.
it does need guidance and a lot of support.
Yeah. Okay. So some success stories and insights. Then maybe Sarah, can you share maybe some success stories from your practice or anywhere that illustrates the transformative power of emotional medicine?
Yeah, I shared mine before, and I shared about the lady that had the thyroid. But I have another short one to share. Is that there is this lady in her mid-60s. She had
Okay.
an issue with her C5 vertebra. It
Okay.
slipped out from its place, and that was around 2 months ago. Okay. So with the combination of emotional medicine, some like spine stretch exercises, and a few sessions with the chiropractor, the vertebra is back in its place and it's completely healed.
Okay.
Okay. Around the same person, around the same time, she started having issues with her left eye. She also tapped into the emotional causes of that. And now the eye is doing great.
Okay.
Now, very soon, also around 2 months ago. These issues showed up both for her around a couple of months ago. Very soon, she might even get off her diabetes medication. But I would just like to add that the main factors in these stories are having the will to heal,
Okay.
okay? And believing in the power of emotional medicine, believing that while you're tapping, believing in when you deal with the suppressed emotions in combination with others, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Being in Malaysia, they have a term here. You don't have to be retired, but they have a term here called RTM, or Rehat Tunggu Mati. Rehat meaning rest, Tungu meaning wait, Mati meaning die. Rest, wait to die. And it just seems sometimes that people are walking around just resting, waiting to die. You know, and
Suppressing too much emotion.
I'm not sure what it is, but it's interesting. When you mentioned that, it just kind of reminded me
Yeah.
of that, right?
Just another thing I wanted to mention is that we work in harmony with other traditional approaches to healing.
Okay.
Okay. Emotional medicine, the way we see it in emotional medicine, that emotional medicine is the part that is left out in other
Okay.
traditional healing methods. So we work with chiropractors, we work with doctors, we work with physiotherapists, we work with psychologists, psychiatrists, and therapists. We actually believe that when we work together, everybody does their part and we come in with the emotional part.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So, what other insights then have you gained from your work that you believe are most important for the listeners, maybe to understand about this emotional medicine?
There are quite a few actually throughout my journey. One of them is that emotional medicine empowers you to take an active role in your own emotional well being. It also encourages self-awareness and self-care and develops the resilience that supports long-term healing and growth, right?
Okay.
When you process emotions, so let's say we're working together, we process some emotions, other beneath them start surfacing,
Okay.
right?
Right. Makes sense.
That's why healing is a long-term journey. It's like eating healthy and exercising. You need to do it for a lifetime. You can come for many people think that healing and coaching and working with the doctors and psychiatrists, okay, in 3 months I'll be healed. I won't have any emotional issues anymore. Healing is a lifetime
Yeah.
journey. Okay. Challenges, another insight is challenging as it may be, okay, to deal with emotional luggage, if we want to call it that way. It's worth it to deal with it, right? It allows us to live authentically and well integrated into the world. So, for example, let me give a simple example. If we are hiding certain emotions, all right, and if we are in isolation because we are fearing that exposure, we're fearing that judgment, we have these um, misconceptions that emotions are dealt with, we are not fully ourselves. And when we are not fully ourselves, we don't build meaningful relationships with others.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
can.
very rare. Yeah, for example, we hide abuses, we hide our own feelings because we want to look strong, but we are not and not willing to be vulnerable. We are not really ourselves. And I don't mean vulnerable by breaking down and crying. No, but vulnerable by just being yourself.
Yeah. I don't
Very
know. I
important.
don't know. I don't know the last time I've had a good cry. I mean, I was listening to Reggie Jackson on YouTube talking about racism. In the '70s when he was playing baseball. Only recently he started talking about it. When I was listening to him, I mean, I was feeling it. I was feeling it, and there was a little bit, but I don't remember the last time I've had a good cry. unfortunately. So anyway, in this last segment here, we're gonna just call this a call to action. We're gonna wrap it up here, right?
Yeah.
Encouraging exploration of this idea. The final piece of advice you would give to someone who is hesitant but interested in exploring emotional medicine. Final piece of advice, maybe.
Final piece of advice is that awareness is a master key. And that's where the work begins
Okay.
on our one-on-ones.
So how can they get in touch, right, with you for a discovery call or more information?
So they can reach out to me on my LinkedIn account directly there or through my email.
Okay, through your
Yeah.
email. All
Yeah.
right. Some resources maybe for further learning, right? Any maybe other resources, websites, books that you might recommend, or just come see you. Or
Yeah. Everybody is unique, as I said earlier, and emotional medicine is a customized and individual work. So yeah, the best way is to come and see me on a
okay.
one-on-one.
Well, where can our listeners find out more about your work and get some updates, maybe on the latest insights and practices?
Same. Same.
LinkedIn. LinkedIn.
LinkedIn can be like a space where I share. I share about trauma, I share about emotional medicine and its trauma's effects. And yeah, that's basically it. There is no one solution for all.
Right.
So even when I'm sharing insights or sharing, it's part of my journey also of
Okay.
what
Right.
I
You
have done
also
through emotional medicine and through what I've done through my trauma work. So yeah,
you're also getting something out of it, right? So
meaning
and you're also getting something out of that journey as well, right?
always, always, I'm still doing the work. I'm still doing the
Okay.
work.
Well, thank you, Sarah, for sharing the profound insights on emotional medicine and healing trauma. For our listeners, remember that understanding and addressing your emotions can be a powerful step towards a healthier, more fulfilling life. So you can also visit, like Sarah said, on LinkedIn, but you can also visit ciwlearning.net, the website where we'll have more information on that and this broadcast here, the podcast for resources. And join us next time on Dr. Bill 360 as we continue to explore transformative insights and strategies. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and here's to your 360-degree transformation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. More outtakes now. Yeah, so Sarah, again, thank you for sharing, and I appreciate it. And I learned a lot, and I'm sure that people learned a lot from you. But maybe where did you find the courage, to find your purpose? As I was telling you offline before, I learned from Sadhguru that we all think we have some grand purpose, but our purpose is actually right in front of us. I'm not sure how you feel about that, but instead of going out looking for something, if we just, it's right there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I understand. So I believe that our purpose is within us. We're born with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is not until we go through all our challenges and breakdowns and hitting rock bottom and all of that, that we finally reach the point that we recognize our purpose. Our purpose is generally something that we have went through, that we want to prevent, right? So for example,
Mm-hmm.
it was not until I started recognizing how the sexual abuse as a very young child and the negligence and the bullying that happened to me growing up has affected me, because it was affecting me throughout my life, and that I dealt with it and faced it and finally started to speak about it, because for over 40 years, I didn't speak about it. And I didn't
So how
find,
would you know? How would you know though? I mean, that was that. You know what I mean? That was
Like
how would you know?
when I started speaking about it to my close, let's say, family members and started getting it out of the way, I recognized that I needed help. So I started surrounding myself with support that helps me
How
heal.
old were you then? How old were you then when you were recognizing this? You think?
That was end of 2020.
So you were
Uh,
about. Well, I don't want to ask your age.
I
I
was
don't
I
want
was
to. I don't want
46. I'm not ashamed of my age. I'm 50 now. I was around 46, right?
Wow,
So
it took that long to kind of things were happening before, but you didn't recognize it, or you didn't feel the courage to come out
I
with it,
didn't
or
recognize it because my bring up also was very isolated. That's a whole other story, you know. And it wasn't until I started having issues with my children and my anger issues and all of that that I finally started okay. And even me coming out with it wasn't me that came out with it. Someone called my sister and told her. Yeah, my son actually called my sister and told her. And that is when finally, for the first time, I dealt with it because my sister and I kind of like spoke about it in depth
is she
and
a big
went,
sister? Is she a big sister?
no, I'm the eldest. She's
Oh,
younger.
that's brave because I don't know that many, younger one. I mean, like even when I speak with my brother to this day, I'm the oldest, right? No matter what I say, he just takes the wrong way, as if I'm trying to tell him something, and I'm just trying to have a conversation. But so the elderly, sometimes it's hard to talk to the elderly sibling.
Yeah, my sister has a strong personality.
Well,
Yeah,
well,
she has a very strong personality.
that's fantastic. I know I
Yeah.
talk about Sadhguru sometimes, but I remember you talk about anger issues. I remember something he said that was profound. He says a lot of profound things, but some people don't agree. But he said, okay, there's a line between being angry and being mad. Okay, mad. So when you cross that line between being angry and being mad, if you cross that line too many times, you really don't know which side of that line you're on. Right? You may not be able to come back. I mean, what do you think about that? Have some.
I agree because if we take anger in itself, it's an emotion, just like happiness, sadness. It's an emotion, right? But when it's suppressed and you're not aware, like when we spoke earlier, suppressed emotions, right? When you go through a lot of things growing up, you have all that suppressed anger that you're not really aware of. And then it starts showing in a form of rage and madness. That's when it becomes unhealthy,
How did you
right?
take it? How did you take it then when your younger sister says to you, you know what? You know
No, with my younger sister, it was more about finally the truth was revealed about what
Okay.
was going out and going on in my life growing up.
Okay.
It wasn't like
Yeah.
in
Okay.
that
I
form. It was me finally finding a compassionate person to speak to and understand things from my perspective. You get me?
yeah. That's got to be difficult to try. You talking about sort of finding somebody on your wavelength, so to speak, or that would listen to you. That would listen to you. See,
Yeah,
because
that would listen, that would understand, that would ask questions for me to go deeper, uh, wants to understand what happened to me. And a lot of things made sense because when you have these unprocessed emotions and these secrets, you live in isolation. And being the oldest sister, you kind of take it upon you to keep everyone else protected in many ways, right? So
yes, yes, yeah.
you keep them protected from emotional hurt, you keep them protected for things that can hurt them, whether physically or emotionally. So you keep that silence and you move on with your life.
Yeah, life is complicated. I guess
Yeah.
life is
So
complicated.
when my son told her about some of the things I went through, right? It was like okay, we need to talk about this. And we all recognized a lot of things. It was a very healing month for us because we were both healing.
Yeah, I wish I could do that with my brother. You know, I I again I'm gonna mention Sadhguru again. You know, because sometimes when we have this relationship, up down relationship, father son or boss or whatever, Sadhguru was kind of telling his daughter because his daughter was looking up to him, and he says, "Look," he says, "you don't look up to me, I won't look down to you, and vice versa. You just see me straight." Okay, and sometimes with these relationships, I be trying, like I used to try and tell my brother. I said, "Look, when I say something to you, it's from a place of love, right? I'm not trying to look down on you, right? I mean, I don't look down on you. You don't look up to me. We just see each other straight. But for some reason, we can't get there. We
Yeah.
can't get there."
You know, um, when I started healing, when I started doing the work and started healing, it's very interesting how my relationships also started to heal. But do you believe that we are energy and vibration?
Yeah, I can get with that.
Yeah. So when we have these suppressed emotions, there is this negative vibration about us. There is this either anger or hurt
Mm-hmm.
or you know, and that lack of authenticity, that you are not completely open, and you're hurting. So that gives out a vibration. When I started healing and
Right.
when I started coming out of that space of trauma and space and started speaking up, communication, talking to my family started becoming easier. My relationship with my children started healing. They started healing.
I
So
can believe that. I can believe
it
that.
is a responsibility upon ourselves for us to do the work. I always say, I am always doing the work, and the world around me will catch up one person at a time.
And I think with that, it's probably a a great place where we can actually don't forget to hit that subscribe button